The sun hung high above the desert, beating down on the endless waves of golden sand. The wind was dry and hot, and every step seemed heavier than the last. Old Cowboy Tom had been riding for hours, guiding his horse slowly across the barren land. He had seen many deserts in his long life, but this one felt endless. Nothing moved except the occasional tumbleweed that rolled across the sand, twisting and turning with the wind. Tom wiped the sweat from his forehead and squinted toward the horizon. His horse, a sturdy brown stallion named Rusty, snorted and shifted its weight. The desert was quiet, but Tom knew that danger could hide in the shadows. He had learned long ago that even a small mistake could be costly in such a place. He tightened his grip on the reins and urged Rusty forward. After some time, Tom noticed movement far ahead. At first he thought it might be a mirage, a trick of the sun on the hot sand. But as he rode closer, he realized it was real. A small group of donkeys struggled slowly across the desert. Their coats were dusty, and their legs trembled with exhaustion. Tom slowed his horse and watched carefully. There was a mother donkey and two little ones, barely bigger than a small dog. They moved with difficulty, each step seeming more painful than the last. Their ribs were visible under their thin coats, and their eyes were dull and tired. Tom's heart tightened. He had known many animals in his life, and he could recognize the signs of hunger and thirst. These donkeys were in trouble. Tom dismounted and walked toward them, holding up his hands so the animals would not be frightened. He spoke in a low, calm voice. "Easy there, little ones. I'm not going to hurt you." The mother donkey stopped and turned her head slowly. Her eyes, though tired, watched him carefully. The little ones huddled close to her, trembling. Tom reached for his canteen and took a sip of water before kneeling in the sand. He poured some water into a small metal cup and set it near the mother donkey that first. The mother donkey hesitated. She lowered her head slowly and sniffed the water. Then, with a careful step, she drank. The little ones followed after, drinking in small, desperate sips. Tom watched them, feeling a mix of relief and worry. They were alive, but barely. Without help, they would not last a day. Tom looked around. The desert stretched endlessly in every direction, offering no shelter, no food. He knew he could not leave the donkey family here. He had a small wagon with him, carrying a few supplies. It was old and worn, but it could hold the donkeys if he could guide them carefully. "Come on, little ones," Tom said softly. "You're coming with me. I'll get you out of this place." The donkeys looked at him for a moment, as if unsure. Then the mother nudged her young ones gently, and they began to follow Tom toward the wagon. He moved slowly, letting them walk at their own pace. He did not want to scare them or make them stumble. It was a difficult journey. The sand shifted beneath their hooves, and the sun grew hotter with each passing hour. Tom stopped often, letting the donkeys rest and drink water from his canteen. The little ones stumbled and fell sometimes, but the mother donkey stayed close, nudging them forward. Tom felt a strange admiration for her courage. Even in her weakness, she protected her young dot. By late afternoon, Tom spotted an old abandoned ranch in the distance. Its walls were cracked, and the paint had long faded, but it offered a well and some shade. It was a risk, moving the donkeys that far in the heat, but it was their only chance. He adjusted the reins and began guiding the family toward the ranch. The desert wind began to pick up, blowing sand into Tom's eyes. He pulled a scarf over his face and encouraged Rusty forward. The donkeys struggled but continued moving slowly. Tom spoke to them the whole way, telling them stories about the animals he had known and the adventures he had faced in the desert. His voice was calm, steady, and full of encouragement. Hours passed. The sun began to lower in the sky, painting the desert in shades of gold and orange. Tom's arms were sore, and his clothes were coated in fine dust, but he did not stop. Finally, he reached the ranch. The old wooden gate creaked as he pushed it open, and the donkeys stepped into the small yard. Tom led them to the well. The water was cool and refreshing, a small miracle in the harsh desert. The mother donkey drank deeply, and the little ones followed, their tiny legs wobbling with excitement. Tom smiled. "There you go, safe and sound," he said. After the donkeys had their fill, Tom checked them carefully. Their coats were dusty, their hooves worn from walking on hot sand, but they were alive. He untied the wagon and guided the donkeys toward the small barn. It was old, with gaps in the walls, but it offered shelter from the sun. The donkeys huddled inside, finally resting. Tom sat down on a wooden crate nearby, feeling the heat of the day fade into the cool evening air. The desert was no longer just a place of danger. With the donkey family nearby, it felt alive in a new way. He watched the mother donkey nudge her young ones gently, making sure they were comfortable. The little ones rolled in the dust, playfully kicking at each other. Tom chuckled. He remembered a story his father had told him as a boy, about kindness and courage. "Even the smallest act can change a life," his father had said. Tom realized that today he had done something small in the grand desert, but it had already changed the lives of 3 little animals. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, painting the sky in red and purple, Tom felt a sense of peace. The desert was still vast and dangerous, but for now, it was a place of hope. The donkey family slept peacefully, their tiny bodies nestled close to each other. Tom leaned back against the barn wall, his eyes closing for a brief rest. He did not know what the next day would bring. There could be more challenges, more dangers lurking in the sand and wind. But he knew one thing clearly. He had saved these animals from certain death, and he would do whatever it took to protect them. The stars began to shine above the desert, tiny points of light in the dark sky. Tom watched them silently, feeling a quiet connection to the world around him. The desert had tested him, but it had also given him a new purpose. For the first time in a long while, he felt that his journey had meaning beyond himself. The night was calm, the wind softening to a gentle breeze. Tom could hear the soft breathing of the donkeys, a steady rhythm that reminded him of life and survival. He felt a warmth in his heart, knowing that he had made a difference. He whispered to the sleeping family, "Rest well, little ones. Tomorrow we face a new day together." The desert was still vast, and the challenges ahead were unknown. But for now, old Cowboy Tom had saved a family from the edge of death, and that was enough to fill the long desert night with hope and quiet joy. The morning sun rose slowly over the desert, turning the sand into sparkling gold. Old Cowboy Tom awoke with a sense of purpose. The donkey family was still sleeping in the barn, their small bodies curled close together. He watched them for a moment, feeling a quiet happiness. They had survived the desert's harshness, and now he needed to make sure they thrived. Tom stepped outside, stretching his arms. Rusty, his loyal horse, was grazing nearby, his mane glinting in the sunlight. Tom filled a bucket with water and carried it to the barn. The donkeys stirred at the sound of his steps. The mother donkey nudged her young ones awake, and the little donkeys blinked sleepily at the morning light. "Good morning, little ones," Tom said softly. "Time to drink and eat. You need your strength today." The donkeys drank eagerly, their thirst finally quenched. Tom handed them some oats from a small sack he had brought. The little ones nibbled carefully at first, then greedily, their eyes brightening with energy. The mother donkey ate with gentle patience, making sure her young ones had enough. Tom smiled at the sight. They were recovering, but they were still fragile. He had to be careful. After the donkeys had eaten, Tom began preparing for the journey ahead. The desert was unforgiving, and staying in one place for too long could be dangerous. He needed to find a safer area, somewhere with fresh water, shade and grass for the donkeys to graze. He checked the wagon, loading extra water and a few supplies he had carried from home. He wanted to be ready for anything. The little donkeys were curious about the wagon. They sniffed at the wheels and tried to climb inside, stumbling over each other in excitement. Tom laughed quietly. "Not yet, little ones. First, we walk a little, then you can rest in the wagon." By mid-morning, the donkey family was ready. Tom led them out of the old ranch yard and onto the desert path. The sand was warm under their hooves, but the wind was soft and gentle that day. Tom guided them carefully, making sure they did not stray too far from the path he had chosen. He spoke to them continuously, telling them where to step, when to rest, and how to move safely across the sand. Hours passed, and the sun climbed higher. The desert seemed endless, but Tom had a plan. He had heard about a small oasis not far from the ranch. It was hidden among rocks and small cliffs, offering shade, fresh water, and some grass. He hoped the donkeys would make it there safely. As they walked, the little donkeys grew tired. One stumbled and nearly fell into the sand. Tom rushed to catch it, holding it steady. "Easy there," he said gently. "You can do this. Just a little more, and we'll rest." The mother donkey stayed close, nuzzling her young and encouraging them forward. Tom admired her determination. Even though she had been weak and tired, she had found strength for the sake of her children. He knew she would do anything to keep them safe. Finally, after many hours of careful walking, Tom spotted the oasis. Water shimmered between the rocks, and small patches of green grass grew nearby. A few palm trees swayed in the gentle breeze, casting welcome shadows over the sand. The donkey family quickened their steps, as if they recognized safety from miles away. Tom led them to the water first. The mother donkey lowered her head and drank deeply, while the little ones splashed in the shallow water, their tiny hooves sending ripples across the surface. Tom smiled. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. He watched them, feeling the weight of the desert slowly lifting from their bodies after drinking. Tom guided the donkeys to the grass. They began to nibble carefully, savoring each blade. The mother donkey kept a watchful eye on the surroundings, while the little ones played near her, running in small circles and kicking up the sand. Tom laughed quietly. Their energy was returning, and he felt a sense of pride. He had saved them, but now they were saving each other in their own way. As the day grew hotter, Tom decided they needed shelter. He found a small rock formation nearby and led the donkeys under the shade. The wind was cooler here, and the shadows offered relief from the relentless sun. Tom rested on a nearby rock, watching the donkeys. The mother lay down while the little ones curled next to her, resting in the safety of her presence. Tom thought about the desert and its dangers. There were wild animals, sudden sandstorms, and the constant threat of heat and dehydration. But he also thought about the resilience of the donkeys. They had struggled, stumbled, and nearly given up, but they had kept moving. They reminded him that strength often comes from hope and determination. In the afternoon, Tom decided to explore the oasis area. He wanted to make sure it was safe for the donkeys to stay for a while. Rusty followed him closely, sniffing the ground and keeping watch. Tom checked the edges of the small water pool and found that the area was clear of dangerous animals. Small birds chirped in the trees, and the sound of the water created a peaceful atmosphere. Satisfied, Tom returned to the donkeys. He brought some extra water and set it near the mother donkey. The little ones drank once more before lying down in the soft grass. Tom watched them, feeling a quiet joy. The journey had been long and difficult, but they had survived. He knew more challenges would come, but for now they were safe. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Tom built a small fire near the rocks. He cooked a simple meal and shared a small portion with Rusty. The donkeys watched curiously, their eyes wide and full of wonder. Tom laughed quietly. One day you'll understand the smell of cooking food. For now, just enjoy the water and grass. Night fell over the desert, and the temperature dropped. Tom wrapped himself in a blanket and settled near the donkeys. The mother rested her head on the little ones, protecting them from the cool night wind. Tom felt a sense of peace he had not felt in a long time. The desert could be harsh, but it had also given him a purpose. He thought about the day ahead. He would need to find a more permanent place for the donkeys, somewhere with plenty of water and food. He would have to be patient, careful, and determined. But he did not feel fear. He had faced the desert before, and he had learned that patience and kindness could overcome even the harshest challenges. As the stars appeared one by one in the night sky, Tom whispered to the donkeys, "Rest well, little ones. Tomorrow we continue our journey together." The mother donkey nudged her young ones gently and they huddled closer. Tom leaned back against a rock, closing his eyes for a brief rest. The desert night was calm and quiet, broken only by the sound of the wind and the gentle breathing of the donkey family. Tom felt a deep connection to the animals, as if they had become part of his own family. He realized that saving them had changed him. He had always lived alone in the desert, but now he was not truly alone. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but Tom was ready. He had water, food, and a safe place for the moment. Most importantly, he had the trust of the donkey family. Their tiny lives depended on him, and he would protect them no matter what. As the night deepened, Tom looked at the stars above and felt a quiet hope. The desert was vast and unpredictable, but it had also given him a gift. 3 small lives, who had been saved, and with patience and care, they would grow strong again. The thought warmed his heart, and he closed his eyes fully, letting sleep carry him into the quiet night. The desert had tested him, but Tom knew that together with the donkey family, he could face whatever lay ahead. For the first time in many years, he felt that the future held promise, adventure, and life. The morning sun broke over the horizon, painting the desert in soft shades of gold. Old Cowboy Tom stirred awake on his blanket, careful not to wake the donkey family that slept nearby. Rusty, his loyal horse, grazed quietly on the small patches of grass that grew near the oasis. The desert air was cool and fresh in the morning, a welcome change from the heat of the day. Tom stood and stretched, looking over the donkey family. The mother donkey rested with her young ones huddled close. Their small bodies rose and fell gently with each breath. Tom smiled. They were safe, alive, and slowly gaining strength. He filled a bucket with water and set it near the mother donkey. The little ones nudged each other awake, blinking at the sunlight and taking careful sips of water. "Good morning," Tom said softly. "You're getting stronger every day." After breakfast, Tom decided to explore the area around the oasis more carefully. He wanted to ensure it was safe for the donkey family to stay for a while. Rusty followed him, alert to every sound. Small birds chirped in the nearby trees, and the soft murmur of the water created a calming rhythm in the air. Tom checked the edges of the oasis and the surrounding rocks for any signs of danger. There were none. The place seemed perfect for a temporary home. When Tom returned, he found the little donkeys playing in the sand. Their tiny hooves kicked up dust as they ran in small circles, laughing in their own quiet way. The mother donkey watched over them carefully, nuzzling them when they came too close to the edge of the water. Tom crouched down and touched the sand gently. He felt a wave of happiness. They were not only surviving, they were beginning to live again. Tom decided it was time to teach the little donkeys some basic skills. He began with simple walking exercises, guiding them around the oasis and showing them how to find fresh grass and water. At first, the little ones stumbled and tumbled over their tiny legs, but they quickly learned. The mother donkey stayed close, encouraging them with gentle nudges. "Good job," Tom said, clapping his hands lightly. "You're learning fast." As the day passed, Tom and the donkey family formed a quiet routine. In the morning, they ate and drank. During the heat of the day, they rested in the shade of the rocks. In the late afternoon, they practiced walking and exploring. Tom talked to them constantly, telling stories of his life in the desert, of the animals he had met, and of the adventures he had faced. Though the donkeys could not speak, Tom felt they understood him. They watched him with bright eyes, responding to his words with nudges, soft praise, or small movements. One afternoon, Tom noticed that the mother donkey had a small cut on her leg. It was not serious, but it needed attention. Tom carefully cleaned the wound with water from his bucket and applied a small bandage. The mother donkey stood patiently, allowing him to help. The little ones watched closely, learning the gentle care that kept them safe. Tom smiled. "You take care of each other, just like family," he said. The days passed in this quiet rhythm. Tom began to feel a deep bond with the donkey family. He realized that saving them had changed his own life. The desert was no longer lonely. The little sounds of braying, the soft rustle of their hooves in the sand, and the gentle nuzzles they offered created a warmth in his heart. For the first time in many years, he felt a sense of true companionship. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned a brilliant shade of orange, Tom noticed something unusual. A small group of birds flew low over the oasis, circling for a moment before disappearing into the distance. Tom felt a strange sense of excitement. The desert was full of surprises, and he wondered what other adventures might come their way. The mother donkey nudged her young ones gently, and they huddled together, watching Tom with curious eyes. He sat down nearby and took a piece of bread from his bag, breaking it into small pieces. The little donkeys approached cautiously, sniffing the food before nibbling at it. The mother donkey ate carefully, always making sure her young ones had enough. Tom chuckled quietly. "You're learning to trust me completely," he said. Night fell over the oasis, bringing with it a cool breeze. Tom wrapped himself in a blanket and sat close to the donkey family. The mother lay down, keeping her young ones close, and they all rested quietly. Tom gazed at the stars above, feeling a quiet pride. He had saved these animals from the desert, but in doing so, they had saved him from loneliness. The following days were filled with small adventures. Tom explored the nearby desert areas, always returning with water or small amounts of food for the donkey family. He found a few wild plants that could be eaten safely and taught the little donkeys how to nibble at them. He discovered small rocks where the donkeys could climb carefully, helping them develop balance and strength. The mother donkey stayed close, guiding her young and showing them the way. Tom noticed that the donkey family was growing stronger each day. The little ones ran faster, their legs more confident, and their eyes brighter. The mother donkey's coat regained a soft shine, and she moved with more energy than he had seen in weeks. Tom felt a deep satisfaction. The desert could be harsh, but it had also revealed the resilience of life. One afternoon, Tom found a small snake near the water. It was harmless, but he carefully guided it away, making sure the donkeys were safe. The little ones watched, brimming with curiosity and excitement. Tom realized that the desert was teaching them, just as it was teaching him. Every day brought lessons in survival, care, and trust. By the end of the week, the donkey family had grown comfortable with their surroundings. They explored the oasis freely, drank from the water, and rested under the shade of the rocks. Tom joined them in the activities, moving carefully so as not to startle them. He laughed quietly when the little donkeys chased each other across the sand, their tiny hooves kicking up clouds of dust. Tom realized that this bond he had formed was rare and special. The donkeys trusted him completely, and he had learned to care for them in a way he had never experienced before. He knew the desert could be dangerous, but with patience, kindness, and attention, they could thrive. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Tom built a small fire. The donkeys watched in fascination as he cooked a simple meal. Rusty nuzzled Tom gently, while the mother donkey kept her young ones close. Tom spoke softly to them, telling stories of distant lands he had visited and animals he had met. Though the donkeys could not reply with words, they listened intently, their eyes reflecting the firelight. As night fell, Tom lay near the donkey family, feeling a warmth he had never known. The desert was still vast and full of challenges, but it was also full of life, hope, and friendship. He whispered to the donkeys, "We are a family now, and we will face whatever comes together." The mother donkey nudged her young ones gently, and they huddled close, resting under the night sky. Tom closed his eyes, feeling a quiet peace. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had also brought him joy, companionship, and a sense of purpose. He knew that more adventures awaited, but he felt ready to face them with his small, strong family. The desert night was calm, the stars twinkling above like tiny promises. Tom drifted to sleep, listening to the soft breathing of the donkey family. He felt a quiet hope that tomorrow would bring new discoveries, new lessons, and new joys. The bond he had formed with the donkey family was growing stronger with each passing day, and he knew it would carry them through whatever challenges lay ahead. The desert sun rose slowly, turning the sand into a bright, golden sea. Old Cowboy Tom stirred awake on his blanket, careful not to disturb the donkey family that slept nearby. The mother donkey lay close to her young ones, keeping them warm and safe. Rusty grazed quietly on the sparse grass near the oasis. Tom smiled as he watched the little donkeys stretch and begin their morning movements. "Good morning," Tom said softly. "Another day in the desert, but today might bring something new." The donkey family drank water and nibbled at grass, gaining strength for the day ahead. Tom prepared a simple breakfast for himself and fed Rusty after finishing his meal. He decided to explore the area around the oasis again. He wanted to make sure it was safe for the donkey family to stay longer. The desert could change quickly, and he needed to be ready. Tom walked along the edge of the oasis, checking the rocks and nearby sand dunes. Small birds chirped in the trees, and the water shimmered in the morning sun. Everything seemed peaceful. Yet, Tom's instincts told him to stay alert. He had learned long ago that the desert often held surprises. As he returned to the oasis, he noticed movement on the horizon. Dust rose in small clouds, and Tom squinted to see what was coming. At first, he thought it might be a group of travelers or perhaps a passing caravan. The desert was rarely empty, and travelers often moved cautiously through the heat and sand as they came closer. Tom saw that it was a small group of people riding horses. They looked tired and dusty, their clothes worn from traveling. The leader, a man with a wide hat and a friendly face, waved toward Tom. "Hello there," the man called out. "Are you alone here?" Tom approached slowly, keeping an eye on the donkey family. "I'm with my animals," he said. "Who are you, and where are you headed?" The man smiled. "We are merchants traveling through the desert. We saw some donkeys struggling not far from here a few days ago. We never expected to find them alive." Tom nodded. "They were weak when I found them. I've been taking care of them, helping them recover." The merchants looked amazed. "You saved them. That is incredible," one of them said. "We thought they would not survive." The mother donkey brayed softly, as if acknowledging Tom's words. The little donkeys ran to the edge of the oasis, curious about the visitors. Tom felt a mixture of pride and caution. While he was happy to be recognized for saving the donkeys, he also knew that strangers could bring unknown dangers. The merchants dismounted their horses and approached slowly, careful not to frighten the donkey family. Tom spoke to them gently, explaining how he had found the donkeys and guided them to the oasis. He told them about their recovery and how the mother had cared for her young ones. Despite their weakness, the merchants listened intently, impressed by Tom's dedication. "You have done a great service," the leader said. "We want to thank you. Please, accept this gift." One of the merchants handed Tom a sack of grain and some fresh supplies. Tom shook his head. "I only wanted them to survive. I do not need anything in return," he said softly. The merchant insisted, smiling. "You have saved lives. That is worth more than gold. We want to help you." Tom finally accepted the supplies, realizing that their kindness could help the donkey family even more. He filled extra water containers and stored the grain carefully. The donkey family watched, curious but calm. They seemed to sense that these visitors meant no harm. After a brief rest, the merchants prepared to continue their journey. Tom gave them directions through the desert, warning them about shifting sand dunes and areas where water was scarce. They thanked him once more and waved goodbye, disappearing into the shimmering heat. Tom turned to the donkey family. "Well, little ones, that was an unexpected visit," he said. The mother donkey nuzzled him gently, as if agreeing. The little donkeys ran around playfully, full of energy after the excitement. The day passed quietly after the visitors left. Tom guided the donkeys around the oasis, showing them where the grass grew thickest and where the water was cleanest. The little donkeys followed his instructions carefully, learning quickly. The mother donkey stayed close, reinforcing the lessons Tom had taught. As the sun climbed high, a warm breeze swept through the oasis. Tom noticed small signs of life in the desert that he had not seen before. Tiny lizards darted among the rocks, and a few desert flowers peeked from the sand. Tom felt a renewed sense of hope. The desert was harsh, but it was also alive with quiet beauty. In the afternoon, Tom decided to teach the little donkeys another lesson. He showed them how to find the softest grass and how to avoid patches of thorny plants. The little ones stumbled at first but quickly learned to follow his guidance. The mother donkey encouraged them with gentle nudges, proud of their progress. While the donkey family rested in the shade of a large rock formation, Tom explored further, searching for a place where they could stay safely for longer periods. He found a small cave tucked behind a cluster of rocks. It was dry and cool, offering protection from the sun and wind. He knew it would be perfect for shelter during the hottest hours of the day. Tom led the donkeys to the cave, showing them the way carefully. The little ones followed obediently, stepping carefully over the sand and small rocks. The mother donkey brought up the rear, ensuring her young ones stayed safe. Once inside, they drank water and nibbled on the fresh grass Tom had carried. As night approached, the desert sky filled with stars. Tom built a small fire near the cave entrance and cooked a simple meal. The donkey family watched closely, their eyes reflecting the firelight. Rusty grazed nearby, occasionally nuzzling Tom as if to remind him that he was not alone. Tom thought about the merchants who had visited earlier. Their kindness had been unexpected, and it reminded him that even in a harsh desert, there were people willing to help. He realized that the desert was full of surprises, both good and challenging, and that life was richer when one helped others. The donkey family lay close together near the fire, resting peacefully. Tom wrapped himself in his blanket and watched the stars above. The desert was calm and quiet, and for a moment, everything seemed perfect. He knew the next day would bring new challenges, but he felt ready. Together with the donkey family, he could face whatever came. Tom whispered to the donkeys, "We are not alone, little ones. We have each other, and we will keep going." The mother donkey nudged her young ones gently, and they snuggled close. Rusty nuzzled Tom, and the old cowboy felt a deep sense of contentment. Night fell completely, and the desert became a cool, quiet place. The donkey family slept, and Tom closed his eyes. He dreamed of new adventures, of journeys across the sand, and of the small miracles that the desert offered. The next morning, Tom planned to explore even further, to find more water and food, and to ensure the donkey family could thrive. He knew that the desert could be dangerous, but he also knew that courage, care, and determination could overcome many challenges. As the stars faded with the morning light, Tom felt a quiet hope. The desert had tested him and the donkey family, but it had also brought them together. Unexpected visitors, small adventures, and daily challenges had strengthened their bond. Tom knew that the journey ahead would be long, but he also knew that together they could face anything. The mother donkey brayed softly, and the little ones frolicked near the water. Tom smiled and whispered, "We will keep going, little ones. The desert is big, but our hearts are bigger." The desert was vast and unpredictable, but Tom felt ready. He had found friendship, purpose, and hope where he had least expected it. The morning sun rose slowly over the desert, casting long shadows across the sand. Old Cowboy Tom stretched and rubbed his tired arms, looking over the donkey family. The mother donkey lay with her young ones nestled close, their eyes bright and full of life. Rusty grazed nearby, his mane shining in the sunlight. Tom smiled. The donkey family had grown stronger each day, and their energy brought warmth to the vast desert. He knew their journey was far from over, but he felt ready for whatever lay ahead. Today, he planned to explore a distant ridge he had noticed a few days before. He hoped it would lead to a safer and more permanent place for the donkeys to live. The donkey family drank water and nibbled at grass before the journey. Tom packed extra supplies into his wagon, careful to balance everything so the animals could move comfortably. He checked Rusty's harness and made sure the little donkeys were steady on their feet. The mother donkey nudged her young ones, and they began walking confidently alongside Tom and Rusty. As they traveled, the desert stretched endlessly before them. The sand glimmered in the sunlight, and small rocks dotted the landscape. Tom led the donkey family carefully, pointing out small patches of grass and signs of water. The little donkeys followed his instructions, stepping carefully over uneven ground. The mother donkey stayed close, guiding her young ones with gentle nudges. After several hours, Tom noticed dark clouds forming on the horizon. A storm was approaching, unusual in the desert but not impossible. He realized they would need shelter quickly. He scanned the area and spotted a small cluster of rocks near the ridge. It was not perfect, but it could protect them from the wind and rain. "Come on, little ones," Tom called gently. "We need to find shelter before the storm hits." The donkey family moved quickly, guided by Tom's voice. Rusty ran alongside, alert to any sudden movements. The mother donkey encouraged her young, braying softly to keep them calm. The wind began to pick up, and grains of sand blew across their path, stinging their eyes. Tom kept speaking, his voice steady and calm, helping the animals focus on reaching safety. They reached the rocks just as the first drops of rain fell. Tom quickly led the donkeys into a small cave-like opening. The mother donkey entered first, followed by her young ones. Tom settled nearby, holding Rusty close to the entrance so he could watch for any danger. The storm raged outside, the wind howling and the rain splashing against the rocks. Inside, the donkey family huddled together. The mother kept her young ones close, her body warm and steady. Tom watched them, feeling a deep sense of pride and relief. They had survived the desert, the sun, and now the storm. Their trust in him had never wavered, and he had kept them safe once again. As the rain continued, Tom thought about their journey. He realized that the desert had tested them in ways he could not have imagined. Every step had been a challenge, but each challenge had strengthened their bond. The donkey family had grown confident, playful, and strong. They were no longer the weak and frightened animals he had first found. When the storm finally passed, the desert was transformed. The sand glistened with water, and small puddles reflected the bright sunlight. Tom led the donkey family out of the rocks to explore. The little ones ran and jumped through the puddles, their energy infectious. The mother donkey watched with pride, braying softly in approval. Tom spotted the ridge he had intended to explore. It rose above the desert, offering a wide view of the land around them. He guided the donkey family up the slope carefully. Rusty climbed alongside, steady and sure. From the top, Tom could see a small valley below, filled with green patches, a few trees, and a stream that sparkled in the sunlight. "This is it," Tom said quietly. "A safe place for you to live." The donkey family seemed to sense the significance of the valley. The mother donkey led her young toward the stream, drinking deeply. The little ones splashed and played in the water, their hooves sending ripples across the surface. Tom smiled, feeling a joy deeper than any he had known before. He explored the valley further, checking the area for safety. He found enough grass for the donkeys to graze and small rocks to provide shade. The stream offered fresh water and the trees gave protection from the sun. It was the perfect place for them to settle. Tom decided to build a small shelter near the stream. Using wood from nearby bushes and rocks from the valley, he created a sturdy structure that would protect the donkeys during hot days and cooler nights. The mother donkey and her young watched curiously as he worked, occasionally nudging him as if helping. Rusty assisted in his own way, carrying small pieces of wood and nudging the materials into place. By evening, the shelter was complete. Tom guided the donkey family inside, making sure they were comfortable. The mother lay down with her young ones, and they settled quickly, tired from the day's journey. Tom sat nearby, looking out at the valley. He felt a sense of accomplishment he could not describe. He had saved the donkey family, guided them through dangers, and now provided them a safe home in the desert. As the sun set, painting the sky in red and orange, Tom thought about the lessons he had learned. The desert could be harsh and unforgiving, but kindness, patience, and care could overcome almost any challenge. The donkey family had taught him about trust, resilience, and the quiet power of companionship. Night fell, and the desert became calm once more. Stars twinkled above, and a soft breeze carried the scent of grass and water from the valley. Tom wrapped himself in his blanket and lay near the shelter. Rusty rested his head on Tom's shoulder, and the donkey family slept peacefully inside. Tom whispered softly, "We made it, little ones. This is our new beginning." The mother donkey brayed gently, and the little ones nuzzled each other, a silent acknowledgement of their safe home. Tom closed his eyes, feeling a deep contentment. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had brought them here, together, stronger than ever. The following days were filled with joy and discovery. The little donkeys explored the valley, learning to climb small hills, play near the stream, and graze on the fresh grass. The mother donkey kept them safe, and Tom continued to guide them, teaching lessons about the desert, survival, and care. Rusty ran alongside, keeping watch and providing comfort. Tom began to feel a sense of permanence. For the first time in many years, he did not think of the desert as empty or lonely. It was alive with life, hope, and connection. The donkey family had changed his world, and he had changed theirs. Together they had created a small community of trust, safety, and love in the heart of the desert. One afternoon, a small group of travelers passed near the valley. They stopped to rest by the stream and noticed the donkey family. Amazed by their health and energy, they asked Tom how he had cared for them. Tom smiled, sharing the story of how he had found the weak and frightened family in the desert and guided them to safety. The travelers listened in awe, praising Tom for his courage and kindness. "You have done something remarkable," one said. "Your care has given life where it could have been lost." Tom shook his head, smiling quietly. "I only wanted them to survive. The desert teaches you that even the smallest acts of kindness matter." As the travelers continued on their journey, Tom returned to the donkey family. The little ones ran to him, braying softly, and the mother nudged him gently. Rusty nuzzled his shoulder, and Tom laughed quietly. He realized that this small family had become the center of his world. Their trust, loyalty, and love had filled the emptiness he had felt for so long. Days turned into weeks, and the valley became their home. Tom tended to the land, ensuring that the donkeys had food, water, and shelter. He taught the little ones how to navigate the valley, how to find safe places to play, and how to stay close to their mother. The mother donkey guided them carefully. Proud of their progress and health, Tom knew that the desert would always be unpredictable. Storms could come, and challenges could appear without warning. But he also knew that together, they could face anything. The bond between him, Rusty, and the donkey family was unbreakable. They had survived the harshest conditions, and now they were thriving. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Tom sat near the stream, watching the donkey family play. The little ones chased each other across the grass. The mother brayed softly in encouragement, and Rusty grazed nearby. Tom felt a deep sense of peace. The desert had tested them, but it had also given them life, friendship, and a home. Tom whispered to the family, "We have found our place. This is the beginning of many happy days together." The mother donkey nudged her young ones gently, and they settled near the water, safe and content. Tom leaned back against a rock, closing his eyes and letting the quiet joy of the valley fill his heart. The desert was still vast, but now it was full of life. Tom had found hope, companionship, and purpose. The donkey family had grown strong, and together they had created a home where kindness, trust, and care would guide every day. The journey had ended, but their new life had just begun.